Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world, 40-something gamers. Me and Sharon, my best friend since 1990s, 1994 to be exact. We are Gen Xers, 40-something, and we like to talk about pop culture and our favorite subject, video games. Today we have a very special guest, Isaac Shaker, here on 40-something gamers. How you doing, Isaac?
Hey, doing good. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Thank you for taking the time to be on the show with us and talk one of our favorite subjects, video games. So my first question I want to ask you, Team Mario or Team Sonic?
I think I did a lot of more Mario games, but I was more doing the Wario stuff. That was my favorite. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of Sega when I was a kid, so I had Nintendo, so I didn't do Sonic games, and that was before Sega died.
Yeah. All right, so we got one for Team Wario. That's a new one. Team Wario. Sharon, you play any of the Wario games? It looks like Sharon's frozen. Okay. So speaking of Nintendo, what was your first console that you grew up with? The first console that you actually like?
I had the Gameboys a lot, if that counts. But my first actual console, that hooks up to a TV, was the PlayStation 2.
Okay.
Which I got specifically to play the Lunar games. Because one of my friends had one and I really liked it and I wanted to get it, and I was like, oh, okay, I have to get a console now. I want to play this game. That was a lot of fun. And then I got the Soul Calibur was another one I played a lot on my console.
Oh yeah, Soul Calibur, cool. Which Soul Calibur was it? 1 or 2?
I think it was. I started with 2, and I got 3, and I think I played 4 as well. And I have 5, but I've barely touched it at this point.
Okay, I think I just downloaded 6. What was it about Soul Calibur that you liked?
No, it's just it's more interactive and fun to play with your friends. It's really quick matches, right? So you could play it, and then you can rotate out. So what we'd usually do is we'd have winner stays in unless they've beaten everyone, and then they swap out.
Gotcha.
And just being able to play really quickly and have fun, and everyone else can still be in it as a spectator because they're so short that you don't really get distracted and want to do something else.
Yeah. And Sharon, your thoughts? Because I know with Soul Calibur, man, for us on the Dreamcast, it was the first game console that we saw where the game was actually better than the arcade.
Yeah, man, I used to love playing Soul Calibur. I would still play it today. If they ported it over to, in fact, I think they did port it, but that was just, Soul Calibur was genius. Yeah, I loved it.
I think I liked it a lot more than other fighting games just because it had weapons. It felt like a lot of the other ones were sort of, I know they were different, but they felt really similar because everyone's just doing punches and kicks. But with individual weapons, the style visually for what they're doing feels very different.
Yeah, and then for me, it was the announcer. It was and like you said, it was very quick. And as far as fighting games, you really didn't have to know combinations. You could just go in there and just, like you said, obliterate your opponent. And it was a step up beyond Virtual Fighter and Tekken.
Yeah.
Interesting you had the Game Boy. So you had the OG, no color Game Boy.
I think I got the original one right around when the color came out, and then I got the color as well. I think I went through each of the upgrades. So I got the Advance and the Advance SP and the DS. And then I stopped playing as much portable games at that point because, I don't know, mobile games kind of worked for me around when the Switch came out.
Yeah, so I had the original OG Game Boy. I had the Game Boy Advance, and then I had the Game Boy DS. What about you, Sharon? Did you have any of the portable?
I had the Neo Geo Pocket.
Wow.
I had that one. And I still have it. And I also have the Nintendo 3DS. Those are my two next to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I think I had the Pocket, not the original, now that I think about it.
What, the Neo Geo?
For the Game Boy Pocket, not the original one that was more bulky. They slimmed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
There's I want to say that there's a Game Boy Color floating around this house somewhere. That at the time when I was married, I bought my wife for Christmas, and it had the F-Zero game on it. But I think it
I love that game.
Somewhere.
Yeah, that was fun.
F-Zero? Yeah, F-Zero was. Yeah, that was hot.
Yes, I had F-Zero for the advance. Man, I really like that one. So what are your like Game Boy? What were your favorite games out of your collection?
Golden Sun, partially because the main character's named Isaac.
Okay.
But it's a pretty solid game too. I liked a lot of the RPG games, like the turn-based combat ones, and that one was a lot of fun, and that one had some good puzzle solving as well. Kind of like in Zelda, you know, where you gotta push blocks around and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I liked that a lot. I liked the Zelda games too, the ones on the Game Boy. What was it? The one where he like falls asleep? I'm forgetting the name for that.
The Mimic Cat.
Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That was
we
my
recently
favorite.
bought that.
And going from the Game Boy and stuff like that to the console, man, how did that feel? Was that like a big upgrade, or like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't no adjustment period. I mean,
I mean, it's just very different games, right? Like the Game Boy Color was like so small and like
yeah,
pixelated compared to console games where like, you know, Soul Calibur is 3D.
yeah.
It's a very different experience. Like I felt like Lunar, it felt like that was a very similar game to what I was playing on the Game Boy because it was ported. That was originally on like the Saturn, I think. It was a port to PlayStation 2. It was a re-release.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that felt very similar, but Soul Calibur was just like, it's a completely different game. I had Mortal Kombat on my Game Boy, but that was like single player because you needed like a link cable when someone else had the same game, and it just didn't. I never really had a chance to play that with other people. But yeah, there were so many graphics that were cool about the console, but I really more experienced that difference with PC gaming once I started doing that because can do a lot with that as well.
Yeah. And how do you feel about, so you mentioned PC gaming, how do you feel about like Steam Deck and the console itself?
I haven't used the Steam Deck. Like I said, like for like being able to play wherever you want. I'm usually using whatever I have on my phone now for gaming. But I think the idea is cool, like having, and I know other people have come up with like other things like the Steam Deck that do pretty much the same thing where you can like hook into your computer and play whatever you have on your computer or have a little mobile computer. The Steam Deck is just like trying to have it work, you know, more smoothly where you don't need to do all that on your own, which is cool. And there's certainly a lot of PC games that I feel like are made for consoles and then moved to a PC. Like Skyrim was done that way. The Witcher 3 was done that way, where those are, you can tell when you're playing them on a PC that they were made for consoles and they just made it work on a PC, but it's still kind of like you should be playing this with a controller.
And I've always played like on consoles, never really been a heavy PC gamer. Sharon, what about yourself?
Not on PC, no. You know, my son does PC, and I don't know. It's just the keyboard. You know, I don't think that's something I can really get used to. But yeah, I'm more of a console based. You know, I need to be able to hold a controller, which I know that you can hook those to the PC. But I think with the keyboard, I think it may be like instead of trying to put in like all these commands, you just push a particular button, and it just does it.
Yeah, there are some weird, because you're trying to do everything on the left side of the keyboard because that's where your hand is.
Yeah.
Your right hand's on the mouse, so it's sort of limited. Like
Yeah.
there are more keys, but you're really not using anything that's on the right side of the keyboard.
Yeah. And I remember like back in the day, like flight simulators, I always felt like were really
Yeah, I got my
much
joystick.
higher. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
here it is.
all right. Oh,
Yeah,
there we
you know,
go.
those in a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
I got this for the new Star Wars, because I played the old like Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and they made a new one. I forget what the title of it is.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
Rogue Squadron that's my joint right there.
Yeah.
I think I was gonna ask you like what's the pros and cons PC versus console?
Well, there are still exclusivities things, so you don't necessarily get everything.
Yeah.
You eventually get everything, because pretty much every good game that's on a console will eventually be ported to PCs. But
Gotcha.
it can take years. So in some sense, you're playing behind. Like I think God of War is still behind on being ported to PCs. Halo took
Really?
forever.
Yeah.
So I finished the Halo series, or got updated on whatever they released on PC a couple, like 2 or 3 years ago, because I'd never played Halo 2 because it wasn't on PC for a long time.
So basically what they do is they go console first and then they'll go to the PC.
Yeah, and I think Halo. I don't know why. I think it's because it got bought by Microsoft eventually, because originally it was Bungie, but then I think Bungie got actually just absorbed by Microsoft. I forget what happened there.
So what do you think is like the in your mind the best console so far?
I feel like for actually like play, like the PlayStation and Xbox feel almost the same for playing them. The controller isn't really that different. I like RPG games, so I went with PlayStation for a lot of what I was doing. Xbox feels like it's better for like first person shooter games.
Yeah.
And I
Okay,
think
I
that's
see
just
that.
what the market gravitates for. I think part of that is just like RPGs are more popular in Japan where the PlayStation's made, and shooter games are more popular in America where the Xbox is made, so that's kind of why they split that way. I've always liked Nintendo better though, because it feels like it's like just the controllers are more original, right? Like they're different
Mhm.
each time, which is just this whole little chaos thing for it. But and the games I feel like I don't know, they're not like complex, but it's something that I can play with my kids. Um, like Mario Kart is like a children's racing game. Like there's Forza and Need for Speed for if you want
Yeah,
something better.
I love those games. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But just like having
Yeah.
the Wiimote where you snap it into the little wheel and then you have like an actual wheel that you're racing with.
Somewhere around it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's downstairs for me, but yeah.
Yeah. I
Hey,
rock a Nintendo.
that's when you said Nintendo, Sharon had a big smile on his face. So he just like he's been convincing me to get the Switch 2, and he just got the Switch 2, and everybody that we've had on this show thus far has said Nintendo, like for family fun. Like I got my Wii behind us, and I was a late bloomer. I didn't know that the Wii also could play GameCube games.
Oh
So
yeah.
now the
First
Wii
one.
has, yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
had the resurgence. I got the Wii Fit over here. And like you said, before my daughter stopped playing video games, that was our thing. Like the Wii, the DS, and the Wii. So yeah, I believe you're right. Like Nintendo has that niche on lockdown. And I know that you're a heavy RPG player. We've had conversations before the show. For me, I don't Final Fantasy VII. I got heavy into that, and then there was another one on the Dreamcast. It was like a JRPG. But I'm not gonna lie, like I'm really not that heavy in the role playing games. What about yourself, Sharon?
No, I've never been much of a role playing type game. I think the most I've ever really played with anything like that would be I've messed around with Fantasy Star 2 a little bit, and I know I've tried Dragon Warrior. But back in the Nintendo era, back in like the late '80s, probably early '90s. Um, you know, I think like see the only and it's not really RPG, I guess. Not, I mean, I don't consider it RPG would be Kingdom Hearts. And like I said, I did get into that one, but I know it has like it has those RPG elements. But as far as like a full on RPG, nah, I've never really gotten into them too much. I've watched like a buddy of mine play them, which I thought that they were really cool. But yeah, other than that, I didn't mess with it.
Did Final Fantasy VIII. So Isaac, you're the RPG to me today, man. So
All right.
we get to pick your brain with RPGs. So what is it about RPGs that you like? Like what is the sell for RPGs for people that aren't necessarily like versed or novices in that genre?
Partially, I think that's just where a lot of the fantasy genre goes to. Like, there aren't a lot of fantasy, like, first-person shooter games, for example. Like, I think Elder Scrolls is, like, the only one I can think of. Um, and so that, like, it's more like if you want, like, a turn-based game that is not Civilization, for example, you're gonna get an RPG. So it's something that you can sort of play, but then pause when your mom comes in the room and wants to talk to you about a chore or something. You don't have to like actually press the pause button, you just put it down. I mean that feels like it's such a small thing, but it's actually a lot of how I played that game was being able to just put it down for a little bit to do something else and then go back to it.
But it almost sounds like chess versus checkers, because like you really get to take time and strategize your move.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's also just like a power fantasy. I feel like a lot of games are like that, but I think role-playing games do that a bit better because when you like go back to an early level, you're sort of like extremely strong compared to everything you're facing, so you can just like steamroll everything that's there, compared to shooter games where usually it's more like you've like gotten better at using the mechanics of the game, but your character itself has not improved very much. I mean, there is still advancement, like, okay, now you have a rocket launcher instead of a pistol, but
I just remember playing like role-playing games, and you got to take turns. Like, okay, he's gonna hit me, I'm hit him. He's gonna hit me. Like with Final Fantasy, and I just hate when it's like, oh, one of my characters is about to get obliterated. There's nothing I could do.
right,
He
yeah.
just ducked or whatever, bobbed and weaved, and just dodged my magic attack. And I'm like, you always need that healer in the group. If you don't have that healer, it's a wrap.
Yep. Yeah, some of the Dragon Warrior games, it's like you have to go through this like sequence of casting all your protective spells like every 3 turns because they last for 3 turns. And then, yeah, there's sort of like this little chore list you have to do for surviving the encounter.
Yeah, and then I've always wanted to play Final Fantasy Online. The one the Final Fantasy they had for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I think it was 11.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play that. And then I've looked for it. And you know how it is now with supply and demand. If it's a rare game, it's like really up there. And one of the games that I always wanted to play as well on the Dreamcast, that I guess they considered it a JRPG, was Skies of Arcadia. And I cannot find that game under like $200.
Wow.
Yeah, it's up there now.
Now, let me ask a question. Like, once you said JRPG, what does that stand for? The J.
Japanese.
Is it a junior? Yeah.
Yeah, Japanese.
Japan. Okay, all right. For people out there like me that didn't know that, I've heard that before, but okay. That's nice.
So the Dragon Warrior series is from Japan. Final Fantasy is from Japan. Lunar is from Japan. Lufia is from Japan. I think Phantasy Star is from Japan too, actually.
And what is the greatest, in your mind, the greatest RPG that you ever played?
I liked Golden Sun a lot. Like Mass Effect, like how you could like transfer your, like whatever you did in Mass Effect 1 affected 2 and then went on to 3. You remember that stuff?
Yeah.
And Dragon Age did the same thing, so that's like BioWare's thing. Golden Sun did the same thing, where Golden Sun 1 didn't actually finish the story. It was like half of a story. It was immense. It felt like a full game, but you only get halfway through it. And then you transferred your data to Golden Sun 2 to continue playing. And that felt like such a unique thing. And it still is, but I think that was like the first one that did that. And doing that with a Game Boy game just felt amazing. Because there's no file. You had to like copy like a string of letters and then input that for getting whatever yours were. Or you had to have 2 Game Boys so you could like do the link cable thing to transfer the data. So that was a really cool experience to have. Like everything I've done is still relevant and moving on to another game.
It's cool. You keep bringing up the link cable. I remember you remember the Game Boy video, Sharon, the commercial where he's like playing with the robot. They got the link cable that it was like back in the 80s, I think late 80s. So have you actually, I'm kind of like veering off a little bit. Have you actually used the link cable?
Yeah. Well, all my friends had Game Boy Colors too, so we were doing Pokemon and trading back and forth. Yeah, that's what we used the link cable for a lot, was Pokemon games.
Man, Sharon, you ever play any of the Pokemon games? You were Kobe?
No, I never played any.
Man, were you ever a Final Fantasy? You ever get into that series?
I did 7 and I did 1 because 1 was released, that had a re-release on the Game Boy.
Yeah.
I did 7, but I just didn't have the patience for swapping discs as much. So when I got to disc 2, I like swapped over, but then I wanted to go back and it had me swap back to disc 1 or something. And then I got frustrated and never finished it.
Forgot about that. So I had when I was in the Navy, my first duty station, I had a Sega Saturn, and my roommate had a he had the PlayStation. So a lot of games he played. He played Legacy of Kain a lot, and he played Final Fantasy 7. And I remember him swapping the disc. But I remember the first time I saw like Final Fantasy 7, I kind of like put the Saturn down, and I know that was such a huge win for the PlayStation because it got a lot of people into role playing games into that game. So Final Fantasy 7 is like it ushered, it was a champion of a lot of things. And I just wanted to get your thought on the series in that game in particular.
It's a great game. I think the Final Fantasy series is a solid series. It feels like it's sort of somewhat predictable at this point. Like, there's this clash between nature and technology, and the main character always has some sort of mental illness.
Yeah.
The thing that I didn't like about the Final Fantasy series as much was that it was a different world each time.
Was
Maybe not every time, but and you can get back into it. Like 7 and 10 had sequels. I did 10 as well, actually, now that I think about it. But they, it's just like usually when I get into a series, I want to like keep playing that and actually feel like my involvement in the series is rewarded by like, oh, we're going to revisit this world and see stuff that you did last time. And Final Fantasy does not deliver on that because each of the games is its own thing and they don't really,
totally different.
yeah, they don't connect
Yeah.
to each other.
Yeah, because like 8 is totally different than Final Fantasy 7. That kind of like threw me off. So in your mind, what are the elements, since you're our SME today, what are the elements? What makes a good role-playing game? What are the elements that you have to have a role-playing game?
Well, I guess we'll go with like because there's so many things within the role-playing game genre. Like you were talking about Kingdom Hearts, that's an action role-playing game, so that's different. I feel like what we've been talking about is more like JRPGs mostly. And for those, I feel like having side quests that feel like they're relevant and affect things within the world is something that I like a lot. Having combat that's, I don't know, it's like this delicate thing where you want to have like challenges for people, but you also want to have it be something that a kid can play, right? So like, I feel like Pokemon is a bad example here because they've made that game way too easy.
Some of the Legend of Zeldas, I feel, have like a kid could play as well, and then it has those side quests.
Yeah, that's a good example because there's like, you can do all the like easier things and power up so you can beat the harder things. So Zelda's a good one for that. Golden Sun, like I talked about, was fun and had that. The Lufia series also made it so you could easily do that kind of thing. I feel like another component that I like for JRPGs is just being able to move quickly sometimes. Because a lot of them have like, you have to like, you do one thing and then you need to backtrack and it takes like 5 or 10 minutes to get back to where you were before, and there's all these like random encounters that don't matter along the way. And maybe I had the patience for that when I was a kid, but now it just feels really frustrating. And I want to just let me go back there. Give me an elevator, give me a train, give me a fast travel option, whatever. Just like let me skip the boring stuff.
It's so funny. I just thought about it. I remember one called Shadowgate for Nintendo.
I don't remember that one.
That I tried to mess around with it a little bit. I didn't survive. Yeah, death came for me.
I wanted to ask too, like, yeah, you like fantasy games. One game that I was like addicted to, the Gauntlet series. Were you ever a fan of Gauntlet?
Yeah, those are great. Yeah, I mean, those were mostly arcade games. Like, they didn't have as many console releases. The console releases that they did have were really cool.
Yeah.
But it's sort of I like the console games better because then you're not constantly feeding quarters into the machine.
Yeah.
But there's a different death mechanic they have to use for that. But yeah, those are really cool. I love playing those with my friends.
Yeah, I feel like you would like that. I remember like the elf was always really, really, really fast. And then I remember the stage with the ghosts. Remember with the ghosts, man? It was like a gang of ghosts.
Yeah, you just had to run away. You can't beat the ghosts.
Yeah. Another thing you brought up, man, is how do you balance now being an adult? When we were kids, I remember you brought up, like, we talked about Zelda. Like, me and my friends would play the hell out of Zelda. But now we have jobs, we're older. I know I have to, like, carve out time sometimes to play games. Like, how do you manage adult life, having kids, and getting in some video game time?
Right. Well, on weekdays, I'm usually playing after they go to sleep, to be honest. Like, I can't really do other things. But they're still really young, so I'm putting them to bed at like 8 o'clock, and then I can play until, 10:30, 11. Or spend time with my wife. That's a different kind of balance. But for weekends, I feel like there's more freedom, and me and my wife kind of like tag out on who's like sort of responsible for the kids for like, they want a snack, but it's in like a cabinet that's too high for them to reach or something like that, and helping them out with, whatever their little hands need help with. So we'll do like, I'll take an hour and then she'll take an hour. That's been a pretty good balance. It means that I can't really have like marathon sessions, where you like play for 6 or 8 hours and you feel like really gross at the end of it. I don't do that anymore. But yeah, that's more what it's like, and that's also why like my attention span for like that sort of like 5 to 10 minute like backtracking thing I was talking about, because that's like 5 or 10 minutes where I'm not like maximizing my fun, so I don't like it as much anymore.
Sure, I don't think I asked you that, man. How did when Kobe was little Kobe, and when you was the family, man? How did Xbox or something? Sometimes you have updates, and it's like I just want to play. I don't want to do the updates.
Yeah,
I just wanted to play.
I try and turn on my computer in the morning to just get the updates done if there are any, so I don't have to wait for them at night. But yeah, mobile gaming on my phone has been something that's easy to slot in whenever, like if I have a free minute or something. So like I don't know, like the kids are watching TV or playing with blocks or something, I can do that while I'm sort of in charge of them.
If there was any video game world that you could immerse yourself in, what was that game? Video Gamer One, was it that movie?
Ready
But
Player
yeah,
One.
Player
Yeah.
Ready Player.
Yeah.
If you had that type of situation, man, what game would it be?
Probably Pokemon or Digimon, 'cause I feel like they're, I don't know, there's a lot of video games that feel like being immersed in them feels really threatening, you know? Like Halo's fun to play, but actually living in that universe sounds awful. Whereas Pokemon feels nice. Like, you can have all these like cool pets and still kind of have awesome experiences with them. And Digimon's a little more like threatening compared to Pokemon, but still feels kind of like that same feeling.
And then I know Sharon, man. Were you ever a Terminator? A Terminator?
Yeah, no, I saw that stuff on your Facebook page. Yeah, no, I love the Terminator movies. I never played the video games, but yeah.
Yeah, because I see that Sharon, you brought it up, man. How's that game? It looks pretty good, man. How's it been so far?
I've enjoyed it. I went through the first time on the easier mode, and I finished it pretty easily. I mean, you can walk through the levels in maybe 3 to 4 minutes. So it's not that long. It's more or less arcade slash 16-bit era. It has that style, but when you ramp up the difficulty once you try like the middle ground, and which I haven't made it through that yet. But you can also it also gives you options, like you could change the story around a bit. You don't have, like, the bomb can go off. Like in a movie they try to prevent that, but in the game it can eventually happen, and you're stuck with the fate of that alternate future. So that's kind of where I am with it right now. And yeah, but it's a good game.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I see I see like it's crazy because it takes you back to like when that movie came out, like 91, 92. I seen the one
Yeah,
with the truck scene, and then the one where Arnold's fighting in the bar. I was like,
yeah,
oh, okay, that's pretty interesting.
and the soundtrack is there. You know, you'll be in the bar and you hit the jukebox, and it switches to the other song, "Bad to the Bone."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. So I mean, they got a win for me on that one. I say a solid 9 out of 10.
Okay, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. And you guys made like the case for Nintendo is like a lot of people that we've had on the show, like Nintendo, that family friendly niche is like their tried and true formula. So Isaac, again, man, thank you for being on the show, man. I definitely appreciate it, and then educating us on RPGs. I think I'm gonna have to. There's a few that I've had on my list that I need to check out. Any parting words, or before we end this awesome episode?
Yeah, I've heard really good things about Octopath Traveler for an RPG. I haven't played that one, so I think that's the one to check out. So yeah, I guess that recommend that one. For myself personally, I like a lot of older ones, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Your top five RPGs, if you can think, or whatever's on your top list.
Man, I guess I'd kind of go by series, sort of. Like Golden Sun was really good. Number 2 would probably Dragon Warrior 3. There's like this time travel thing where you go in the past and like you end up in the Dragon Warrior 1 story, so that's fun. Number 3, Lunar 1. I really like Lunar 2. Like, I feel like those would probably go on my 3 and 4 slot, actually. And number 5, maybe Dragon Warrior Monsters. Like, that's a one that's a bit more like Pokemon, you know, where like you have a team and you're like capturing monsters and having them fight. So but it still has a lot of, like, you develop those just like you would a character in an RPG, where like they level up and you can give them items and develop them. So it still feels like an RPG, even if it's like the monster catching kind.
And there's Isaac's top 5 right there. Sharon, any parting words before we end this episode?
Say get your exercise, go to the gym, have fun playing games. Check me out on Sharon's Arcade, 40-something gamers, on YouTube and Facebook, and have fun.
And I like to say, yep, like, subscribe, follow. If you're on the podcasting streaming platforms or on our YouTube channel, the YouTube channel is under my name, Marquibus Nias. And also check out our merch store. We got some cool things. I think we need to start some RPG themed merch.
That'd be
Once
cool.
we check in this genre. Yeah.
Level up.
So, ladies and gentlemen, myself, Marquibus Nias, Sharon, and special guest Isaac Shaker signing off here for another great episode of 40-something Gamers. Thank you.